Okay, hello and welcome to Hangin' Out with Bob, podcast hosted by me, Bob Edholm. Thanks for joining us, and let's get started. Well, in this podcast, a podcast during which I'll be flying solo, I'm going to focus on a place that is gone but not forgotten, a place that will always hold a special place in my heart. That place was home for the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers football team for 58 seasons, Memorial Stadium. Now, the Gophers have been playing football since 1882. Their first football season was 143 years ago. Think about that. Not even 20 years after the end of the Civil War, the Gophers put a football team on the field to play other college football teams. Before Memorial Stadium was built in 1924, the Gophers played at Northrop Field from 1899 to 1923. They also played at various other fields on campus in Minneapolis. But again, my focus will be on Memorial Stadium, the Brick House, as it was known to Gophers players and fans. The Gophers played their home football games there from 1924 through 1981. It was located on University Avenue on the east bank of the University of Minnesota campus and across the street from several fraternities along University Avenue. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty on Memorial Stadium itself, I want to talk for a bit about the University of Minnesota football program, because if it weren't for the Gophers football team, the stadium wouldn't even been built, right? Whether you want to call them the Golden Gophers or just Gophers, which is my preference for what it's worth, Minnesota competes as part of the NCAA Division I Football Bowl Subdivision, or FBS for short. And it's a member of the Big Ten Conference, which, as of 2025, actually includes 18 schools. The Gophers, though, were one of the 7 original founding members of the Big Ten Conference back in 1896. And just a footnote, in 1896 it was called the Western Conference. And since their first season in 1882, the Gophers have played in more than 1,300 officially sanctioned games, including 25 bowl games. They've finished in the top 25 of the national polls 16 times. The Gophers have won a total of 7 national championships, most recently a consensus national championship in 1960. And the Gophers have won at least a share of the Big Ten championship 18 times, 11 shared, most recently in 1967, and 7 outright. Okay, now that we've given you a quick history of the Gophers football team, let's concentrate on Memorial Stadium, where the Gophers started playing their home games in 1924. Memorial Stadium opened on October 14, 1924. Think about that for a second. 1924, over 100 years ago now. It was the Roaring '20s, the Jazz Age. Gasoline cost between 13 and 25 cents a gallon. Nationwide prohibition had been in effect since 1920. The U.S. had 48 states, not 50. Calvin Coolidge was president of the United States, and he was less than a month away from winning the next presidential election. Memorial Stadium, the Brick House, was dedicated to the 3,500 or so university workers and graduates who served in World War I, 98 of whom died in service. Built on approximately 11 acres of land on the east bank of the University of Minnesota campus, Memorial Stadium had 52,736 permanent seats, but could seat over 56,000. And with the addition of temporary bleacher seating, more than 60,000 fans could fit into Memorial Stadium. In fact, a stadium record 66,284 fans watched Minnesota face Purdue on November 18, 1961. There was nothing fancy, really, about Memorial Stadium, at least by today's standards. It was shaped like a big old horseshoe, as were many stadiums built at that time, meaning there was an open end where the temporary bleachers could be set up. The stadium seats were wooden benches, really, no seat backs. There were no luxury suites, no club seats. The stadium had just one tier. There was no roof, obviously, not even a canopy to protect fans from the elements: snow, rain, ice, wind, the sun. But considering that it was built during the Roaring '20s, I'm sure it was as state-of-the-art as any other stadium built at the time. It took 7 months to construct Memorial Stadium at a cost of $572,000. That's right, $572,000, a little over $500,000 in 1924, of course. But even adjusted for inflation, that comes to $10.6 million today. Huntington Bank Stadium, the Gophers' current home stadium since 2009, cost over $300 million to build and would have cost about $445 million in 2024. But back to Memorial Stadium. More than 475 workers were employed for the construction, which required more than 1.4 million feet of lumber, 1 million bricks, no wonder they called it the brick house, and 90,000 sacks of cement. The Gophers played their first game in Memorial Stadium on October 14th, 1924, defeating North Dakota 14-0. Here's another fun fact about that inaugural football game against North Dakota in 1924. The cost of a ticket to that game? How about $1? No! Yep, a buck. No! Now, $1 in 1924 is equivalent in purchasing power to about $18.50 today. But still, I don't know if I could buy a ticket to a Big Ten football game anywhere today for just $18.50. The Gophers had a stellar record playing at Memorial Stadium, including 12 unbeaten seasons at home. They didn't suffer a losing season at home from the building's inception in 1924 until 1950. Think about that. 27 straight seasons without a losing record at home. By contrast, in the 16 seasons the Gophers have played at their current home, which was first called TCF Bank Stadium and later renamed Huntington Bank Stadium, they've had 4 losing seasons at home. They also haven't had an unbeaten season at home, although they have had a couple of 6-1 seasons. Now, if I were to ask most people today how they remember Memorial Stadium, assuming they remember it or have even heard of Memorial Stadium, they would probably say, oh yeah, that was a place on campus where the Gophers played their home football games. However, there are some things about the stadium that might surprise some people, or that they might not remember. For example, Memorial Stadium had natural grass and artificial turf surfaces in its 58-season history. The playing surface was natural grass from 1924 to 1969. It was changed to an artificial turf, tartan turf they called it, in 1970, and the Gophers played on tartan turf through the 1976 season. They went back to natural grass for the 1977 season and stayed with it through the final season in 1981. In earlier years, Memorial Stadium also served as the university's track and field venue, which meant the seats closest to the field were still farther away from sidelines than in some other stadiums. For example, at Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, home of the Iowa Hawkeyes, there is no track. I've been to a couple games at Iowa City over the years. And at Kinnick Stadium, fans in the lowest rows can practically reach out and touch the players on the sidelines. Memorial Stadium is also an occasional backup venue for professional football and soccer. In 1969, for example, the Minnesota Vikings played a regular season game on October 5th against the Green Bay Packers at Memorial Stadium. The game was moved there due to a conflict with the Minnesota Twins playoff game at Metropolitan Stadium, Game 3 of the 1969 American League Championship Series the following day. I remember well that Vikings-Packers game at Memorial Stadium, even though I wasn't there. My brother Dave and I rode with our uncles, Judd and Joe, to a bowling alley in Menominee, Wisconsin, to see that game on TV. Because back in 1969, the NFL did not allow teams to televise home football games. Even if they were sold out, the games were still blacked out. The Vikings beat the Packers that day 19-7, and attendance at the Brick House was 60,740. By contrast, official capacity for Vikings games at Met Stadium was only 47,900. In 1971, 2 years after that game against the Packers, the Gophers played a preseason game at Memorial Stadium. It was the second season with artificial turf at the Brick House. Anyway, the Vikings beat the New England Patriots 17-10. It was only a preseason game, but the reason I remember it so well was because I had entered a football pool at the summer job I had. I think it cost $1 or $2 to enter, but I got the numbers 0 and 0. In other words, if each team had a number that ended in 0, whether it was 0, 10, 20, etc., in points scored, it paid $50 at the half and $50 at the end of the game. Well, in the first half, the Vikings had a 10-0 lead, so I won $50. And if the Vikings had just added a field goal in the second half to make the score 20-10 instead of 17-10, I would have won another $50. And $50 in cash in 1971 would be close to $350 today, adjusted for inflation. About that artificial turf at Memorial Stadium, tartan turf, they called it. It was a 3M product. It was removed after 7 seasons, and the field returned to natural grass in 1977. I actually had a sample of that tartan turf. I can't remember where I got it, where they were selling it, but it was about a 4-inch by 4-inch sample. I just remember thinking, it doesn't look too cushiony if you were to land on it from a hard tackle, say. Oh, and the Minnesota Kicks soccer team of the North American Soccer League played a match at Memorial Stadium. It was a 1981 playoff match on September 6th against the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. The Kicks lost 3-0, or as they would say in soccer, 3-0. The match was moved due to a schedule conflict with the Twins at Met Stadium, but it was the last match in Kicks history. And here's something I didn't know about the Brick House. There were a total of 30 gates at the stadium. All but one of them was used for fans to enter the stadium to get to their seats. But there was one gate, Gate 27, on the south end of the stadium, that served as the entrance to the Laboratory of Physiological Hygiene, which was part of the School of Public Health. The lab was located under the bleachers of the stadium. In that lab, they conducted research on heart attack risk factors and prevention trials from 1942 to 1992. The lab was also the site of the Minnesota starvation experiment, where 36 conscientious objectors of World War II were confined for a year. The gate itself was described as dark, dank, and noisy on game days. However, the lab staff tried to make the area welcoming. The stadium became a destination for researchers from around the world. Honestly, I did not know about this lab until I started my research on the stadium. The thought of using what looks like a gate to get into a football stadium, but instead takes you into a lab, well, I just never imagined anything like that. 2 other things I did not know before I started my research. One, that racquetball courts were located beneath the upper level of the stadium. And 2, there was an area beneath Memorial Stadium where members of the golf team could practice by hitting golf balls into nets. I'm sure that came in handy during the winter months. Not too many golf courses are open up here in the wintertime. Memorial Stadium served as the anchor for Stadium Village, a small commercial area at the southeast portion of the Twin Cities East Bank campus. It really was in a great location. Bars and restaurants were within walking distance, and they enjoyed great business before and after football games. Williams Arena, where the basketball and hockey teams played, was across the street. Cook Hall, at the open end of the horseshoe-shaped stadium, had that thin, wide, no-frill scoreboard on top of the building. All it had on the scoreboard were the teams, Minnesota and visitors, the period, in other words, which quarter it was, minutes to play in seconds, the down, and yards to go for first down. No high-def screens for commercials or ads, no rock music blaring, about as basic as you can get. I want to spend a moment talking about the attendance figures at Memorial Stadium. According to Gophersports.com, the website for University of Minnesota Athletics, there were, according to my count, 7 seasons during which average attendance was over 60,000, twice in the late 1940s, 3 times in the 1950s, and twice in the early 1960s. The largest attendance for a single home game was 66,284 in 1961 against Purdue. That was the season after the Gophers won their last national championship. A total of 21 games were played during which the attendance was over 60,000. 9 of those games were against Iowa, 4 were against Purdue, 3 were against Michigan, 2 were against Southern Cal, long before they joined the Big Ten last year, and 1 game each against Wisconsin, Northwestern, and Notre Dame. And so many famous All-American Gophers who played at Memorial Stadium over the years. Bronco Nagurski, Bruce Smith, Paul Giel, Tom Brown, Sandy Stevens, Bobby Bell, Carl Eller, just to name a few. And by my unofficial count, some 48 different Gopher players who played at Memorial Stadium were named first-team All-Americans, and 11 of those players were 2-time selections. But as the song by George Harrison goes, all things must pass. Average attendance at Memorial Stadium started falling off in the 1970s. 6 times in the 1970s, in fact, average attendance at home games was below 40,000. No! My take on why those attendance numbers dropped at Memorial Stadium? I can think of at least a couple reasons. 1, the Gophers weren't as competitive in the Big Ten. By the late 1960s, the Big Ten was starting to become more like the Big Two, Michigan and Ohio State, and the Little Eight, that is, the rest of the Big Ten, including the Gophers. And 2, the Minnesota Vikings. Before the Vikings' first season here in 1961, the Gophers were the only show in town, or at least the only football show in town. The state of Minnesota eventually became, for better or for worse, Vikings country. NFL Sundays became bigger here than college football Saturdays. The Gophers still have their loyal fans, and I'm certainly one of them, but not nearly as many as the Vikings now have. And just for the record, I'm a loyal fan of both the Gophers and the Vikings. One can be loyal fans of both teams. Anyway, with pressure from both the downtown Minneapolis business interests and the Gophers athletic boosters, the school elected, during the spring of 1982, to move out of Memorial Stadium and over to the new Hubert H. Humphrey Metrodome, about 2 miles away from the East Bank campus. Then athletic director Paul Giel said he thought it would help the Gophers recruit better players because they would want a chance to play in the same new stadium used by the Vikings and the Twins. Also, the attendance was expected to go up in the late fall with protection from harsh weather. With a dome, with a roof, it didn't matter if it was raining, snowing, or freezing cold outside. At least that's what many people were saying or thinking at the time. Now, even after the Gophers had moved to the Metrodome for the 1982 season, Memorial Stadium still stood, but it was empty. It had become neglected and badly in need of renovation. Then newly named head coach Lou Holtz gave an impassioned speech when the time came in 1984 to decide whether to remain at the Metrodome, and he declared athletes want to play at the Dome. With all due respect to Coach Holtz, his statement proved to be not true. Holtz, in fact, left Minnesota for Notre Dame after the 1985 season. He was here for just 2 seasons. John Gutekunst, who succeeded Holtz, and Jim Wacker, who succeeded Gutekunst, both had losing records. Wacker especially was 16-39 overall, a .291 winning percentage. Glenn Mason, in his 10 years at the helm, had greater success than either Gutekunst or Wacker, but he eventually was fired too. But when he was head coach of the Gophers, from 1997 to 2006, he was pleading for the powers that be to move football back to the campus. Back to Memorial Stadium. When the football squad moved downtown to the Metrodome, the University of Minnesota proposed a new natatorium, an indoor swimming complex that would extend into the field at the open end of the horseshoe and ensure that there could be no return for the football team to Memorial Stadium. And after legal challenges to halt construction of the natatorium failed, the Aquatic Center, the natatorium, opened in 1990. The stadium was torn down 2 years later, in 1992. The original brick entrance arch to Memorial Stadium was preserved, though. When the McNamara Alumni Center was built on the same site where the stadium once stood, the original arch from that stadium was installed in the interior atrium of the McNamara Alumni Center over the entrance to a small museum. I've actually seen that arch in the McNamara Alumni Center. It was kind of bittersweet to see it, though. I'm glad the arch was not demolished, but it really made me miss Memorial Stadium. When Memorial Stadium was demolished in 1992, 2,000 of the original bricks were used in the building of Mariucci Arena, where the Gophers men's hockey team plays their home games. All things considered, the move to the Metrodome from Memorial Stadium proved to be, far from a rousing success. The Gophers' home games lost the charm of being on a college campus. The Gophers had the lowest priority in scheduling at the Metrodome, too, behind the Twins and Vikings. And sometimes the Gophers even had to move some of their games to Friday nights if the Twins were in the baseball playoffs. On May 20th, 2006, the state legislature passed a bill providing funding for a new on-campus stadium. It opened in the fall of 2009 as TCF Bank Stadium, renamed Huntington Bank Stadium in 2021. The new stadium is located about a block from where the old stadium once stood, and it was designed so that the McNamara Alumni Center on the old site is visible through the open end of Huntington Bank Stadium, which also has a horseshoe shape. And I can tell you, Huntington Bank Stadium is a great venue for football, and it's great to see the Gophers back on campus playing their home games. I have so many great memories of the Brick House. My brother Dave and I had season tickets there in the late 60s and early 70s when we were still in high school. Dirt cheap ticket prices, too. And our seats were in the bowl end, almost directly behind the goalposts. I went to many home games at Memorial Stadium over the years, but I think the most exciting memory for me was in October 1967, when the Gophers came from behind to beat Michigan 20-15 for the Little Brown Jug Trophy. Although I had been a Gophers fan since the 1960 season, when they won their last national championship, that Gophers-Michigan game in 1967 was the first game I'd ever seen at Memorial Stadium. The atmosphere was so charged. Before the start of the game, the Gophers marching band ran out of the tunnel in the bowl end and onto the field to play songs like John Philip Sousa's Minnesota March, the Battle Hymn of the Republic, the National Anthem, and of course, the Minnesota Rouser, the school's fight song. And during the games, hearing the voice of longtime PA announcer Jules Perlt just added to the excitement. I still laugh when I think about the way Jules Perlt would announce the scores of other Big Ten games of that day. Remember, That scoreboard on top of Cook Hall barely had enough room to list the score down on the field below. So Jules Pearl, instead of automatically listing the winning team first, he'd sometimes do the opposite, as in, final score, Iowa 22, Purdue 41, or Wisconsin 13, Northwestern 17. Anyway, I was 14 years old when I saw that Minnesota-Michigan football game. My brother Dave was about a week away from turning 13. But I thought that game was one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. Remember, that 1967 season was the year the Gophers tied for the Big Ten championship, the last time they won at least a share of the Big Ten title. It's been a long time. Well, this has been fun. A labor of love to research and a chance to share my memories of Gophers football at Memorial Stadium, the Brick House. And I'm planning to record future podcasts about the Gopher football squads who played there. For example, the years when Murray Warmath was head coach from 1954 through 1971, or when Cal Stahl was at the helm from 1972 through 1978. Even the last 3 seasons at Memorial Stadium, 1979, 1980, and 1981, when Joe Salem was head coach and before the Gophers moved downtown to the Metrodome. To my loyal listeners, and especially to my fellow Gophers fans, well, to borrow a line from the Minnesota Rouser, I just want to say, hats off to thee. Thanks for hanging out with me, Bob Edholm. Please join me for the next episode of Hangin' Out with Bob, wherever you listen to your podcasts. And until then, bye.